Colossyan is a text-to-video generation platform. So what it's doing is kind of revolutionizing the way people make content. Traditionally, it's really difficult with a studio and a person, whereas now you can take a document, upload it, the technology understands it, creates a training course on it, or whatever the purpose of your content is, dramatically reduces the time to generate video, and it also speaks kind of hundreds of languages. We started working with Air in February 2024. One thing that was really clear to me is how difficult it is to run an SDR unit, and you need a demand generation team, you need all the tools, you need strategies, you need monitoring, you need tracking, you need training, there's a lot that goes into every new idea. So knowing how difficult it was, that's why I reached out to Air. So we're global. Predominantly our biggest regions are EMEA and North America. There are a lot of options out there for this solution. I think I get an email a day from companies offering this. I think what stood out with Air was the quality and the brand that's going to be representing us. Extremely thorough. To my delight, really thorough, really detailed, with minimal inputs from me, which is kind of how I wanted it. Some of the internal challenges is that depending on what day, on what post you read on LinkedIn, the outbound is dead, it's back, it's gone, and one thing I knew for sure is that I needed support in order to do this, and the other thing I knew for sure is that some communication outbound is better than zero. It exceeded my expectations in terms of the detail. It's exactly what I needed. I can take some of these ideas, fill in the gaps, and go execute. I gave probably minimal input. I think we had 1 or 2 sessions where I gave the inputs, and then the rest were semi-regular catch-ups to just make decisions on the data we were exploring. What I was pleasantly surprised about is the volume of people involved in every stage of the process on the onboarding, and for me it was minor in terms of how much time I invested into it. Well, everything's controlled and measured. We can see, we have full visibility into the communication and how it's being done. It feels the same as if it was one of our own reps. I think a common mistake is hire a BDR, put them somewhere, give them some numbers, and just crack a whip to say do more, faster. But that's kind of short-sighted. I think what I got and what I needed from Air was this outsourced department that completely manages it end to end at the company stage we're at. So we don't have a huge marketing team, we don't have a big demand generation team, we don't have all the tools, we don't have an expensive license to data organization. So took care of that. The mission that we gave was pretty difficult. It was companies over 10,000 employees, quite a hard nut to crack in that sense. The results were about, and this was the goal as well, was about 10 to 20% of the pipeline coming from outbound and outsourced efforts, and that's kind of what we're seeing as well. Going and getting the customers you want versus the customers you're getting, I think that was a big shift. Inbound, you get what you're given, and you're a slave to kind of the market trend coming to you. Outbound, you go and select the customers you want, and that's the kind of the difference we saw. It did also mature our business a little. So the account executives working inbound had to pivot and learn outbound, and it became much more consultative, much more data-driven decision making, and that helped with the inbound as well. Outbound was a new motion for us, a new muscle for us. So I think we had a realistic target of about 20%, and that's what we obtained. So that's really meaningful growth. But the best part about it is we did it at a cost of an SDR. Think about the cost of hiring an SDR, ramping them, the time it takes to bring up to speed, then the time sunk training that SDR, and you don't always get it right. Passing that on to another organization was really, really powerful. And then the other component is, now that we're seeing trends, and if we need 40% of our pipeline to be outbound, with enough notice with their marketing, we can scale that up. And that's a conversation we're having at the moment, is that how we can scale that up, and especially in different regions as well. That's one of the biggest draws, is the flexibility. So we can scale up, we can scale down if we chose to. They really act as our in-house team, and we can put them on special projects. The element that I think is gives myself and the marketing team the most trust is, if we pass it to our marketing, we know it's done thoroughly. That's something that isn't, the output isn't questioned, or the work isn't questioned, because we see the analytics, we see the activity, we see the messaging, we see detailed reporting. The output is measurable, and everyone has skin in the game for it to go well and continue. Be really clear about the problem you want to solve, and then I would say have a conversation with the other thing I'll say is, it's not as big of a risk as it feels. You can start small and scale. Building an SDR team is really, really hard, and it's underestimated. For the same price as an SDR, you can start with their marketing, and you bring in behind this one cost center, you get a wealth of experience, tools to get the best of the data suppliers, as well as you get effectively an SDR manager, a go-to-market manager, a demand generation manager. You get the reporting you're looking for. You can't get that at the beginning. And even if you're a mature team, bringing them in as a consultant to measure, to see how you're doing and where you could improve, it's always, it's low cost, it's low risk, and it's always recommended to constantly revisit how you're doing things.